and make sure that everything's okay. I'm sure it is because there's already people coming in. Oh, this is exciting. This is exciting. Okay, there we are. Let's see. Test, test, test. Test, test. I'm sure it is. Yes. Everything's cool. All right. Got 7 people in the house. Estelle says that Judith is a master of what she does. Jasmine says, I adore Judith. Everybody does, I think. How could you not? She's incredible. So let me formally roll the show out. We are very honored today to be sharing space for the second time with a beautiful divine goddess, a light worker of the highest calling. And everyone knows Judith Kusel. And it's such a pleasure to be sitting down with her again. And I just want to say again, thank you from the bottom of my heart on behalf of everybody. Judith, thank you for coming back on. It's good to see you again.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me back, Todd. I must say that first show had such an impact on me too. So it's not just on you, but it was truly a heart opening of the highest degree, because I almost could feel, you know, your heart opening up to a new level, and mine too. And from the feedback that I got from all over the world is that people felt this intense heart opening up at the core level. And to me, this is just the most amazing time in the whole history of the planet, that we are having this window of opportunity now to shift into that 5th dimension and even higher into the 7th, and to bring the heart and mind again into balance, the masculine and the feminine, and to open ourselves to ever higher levels of love and consciousness and mindfulness, in that the heart and mind now become as co-creators again. That to me is just the most amazing gift of this time. And thank you so much for having your show and for being willing to surrender all of your life to this higher service. You will be blessed in the highest degree. It's not an easy path to walk. Oh my goodness, I know all about it. But the rewards in the end are more than you can ever think of. Thank you so much.
Yes, you're welcome. You're very welcome. It's an honor to be of service, and I think you're right. The reward is now. It's the end is now. We were talking before we came online, which is a huge topic, and for me personally, as I was discussing with you, I surrendered to this universe, and in this realm, as I know it as a conscious soul, I surrendered to the divine feminine in all ways about 10 days ago, and my life is elevating incredibly, as many others are, as I'm observing. You had mentioned the reemergence of Magdalene energy. Would you like to talk about that a little bit?
Yes, when I was in France, actually before I went to France in 2000, about 2 years ago, I was in 2016. I was actually told that when I landed up in France, she would be there, and I'd hardly landed in France when she appeared to me in the hotel room. And since then, it was a journey, you know, in a way that I know my soul was involved at that time. But I opened up before I had a seminar for the first time in France, and I had students from all over the world. They just came. I was told before, and everybody that needs to be there will be there. And it was so amazing, this group of people that just came from all over the world. And we were like, we've known each other forever. And then I had the opportunity of opening up so much of the energy centers there. You know what they did with all these centers, especially in the southern France? Southern France was one of those areas where the ancient mystery schools were, but they were the school of the feminine, the Isis schools that were there in the beginning, and they were dedicated to the goddess herself. So it was one of the most important mystery schools that you had. And my new book that I'm busy writing goes all about those mystery schools. Mary Magdalene was a high priestess of this school. She was not just anybody. She was highly trained and she was ordained as a high priestess before she even met up with Jesus, who she married. But through this all, she had a whole ministry because she was born in France and she came back to France where she came from.
Wow.
All of this she revealed to me as her journey went on. And it's so then I had the idea, even before I went to France, that I had to go to this plateau just out in front of Ronde-le-Château. And I had to go and open up what used to be her main mystery school in France. And interestingly enough, I didn't want to go into the village. I said, that's not where I want to go. I needed to go to this plateau. And that day, as we were sitting there, and I was and had a meditation, and I was singing the song that was given back to me at Montsegur of the ancient feminine, which opens the heart and opens the soul. Herons flew over, and then eagles, and I knew this was a sign. And I just knew that that is where I needed to open up her school so that it would rise again. Because what happened there is when the patriarchy started to have this backlash against the feminine there, she was so severely persecuted, and all the Marys who were with her. The Marys were the high priestesses. Mary was a title. It was not something that was a name. It was a title. So there were many Marys. There wasn't just one. And what happened there is that they actually bombarded the school. And as this happened and it hit the school, the whole earth opened up, and this whole mystery school with all the women and children in it was buried. So now it's like a plateau that's there. And in that I released the trauma and the pain of what happened there. I knew that this whole ministry that she once had would rise again, as she now takes on the Cosmic Council's responsibility as Ascended Master for the unity consciousness on Earth, where we all become together as one again, where the masculine and feminine will be in balance again, and where we will understand that there's nothing higher than the power of love.
Yes.
There is nothing more important than the power of love. If we open ourselves to the power of love, something deep inside of us will be transformed to the very core of our being. We cannot practice unforgiveness anymore, because if we do not forgive, we hang on to that which hardens within us, and it hardens the heart. And that is where fortresses and everything are built around the heart. That is where illness comes from. That's where disease comes from. But the minute you open up your heart, something magical starts happening. Sometimes it's literally feel as if your whole heart is cleaved open to the core, like an open heart surgery. That is when you heal. That is when you truly can connect to the feminine divine again, and to the love, which is the truest love that there is. It's totally unconditional. And that is when you have tears running down your cheeks, where love is such that you cannot express it in words. It's just pouring through you, and it's radiating out forth. And that is my heartfelt and most heartfelt prayer for the whole of humanity, that we can finally have that heart opening again. Whether we're feminine or whether we're masculine, it doesn't matter. But when we open the heart, the power of love can move in. And the power of love can move mountains and literally cleave open the consciousness of humankind to the core. And that is when we're ready to rise into the 5th and 7th dimensional state. Because now there's no resistance left.
Yes.
That is the blessing of this time.
Yes, and and speaking as a masculine incarnation with recollection of a number of lives, I think I can speak for the masculine energy. I was so resistant. As much as I loved and as big as my heart was, I literally got to the point where I had to surrender because I learned something. I learned that the masculine energy, which may not have anything to do with the incarnation itself, is resistant. It shuts people out, or it shuts memories out, or pushes things away. And this feminine energy has a different way, and that is to create space for everything. That's what I've learned through my journey, especially over the last few weeks, and with having conversations with divine goddesses such as yourself. But it is such a powerful transformation. I'm not through it. I'm not saying that I am, but I will tell you this: those tears that you speak of are real, and they're indescribable. They're absolutely indescribable. Do you think that we will see a reflection of this transformation that's occurring on the collective anytime soon? Do you think it's moving as fast as it seems to be?
Yes. I've actually been told that the Cosmic Council said this is now going up with escalated rate. We have until about 2032, where the escalation will come now in great escalation. And from 2032, it will just go like, so that we can get through that barrier, to get into the 5th to 7th dimensional state. We at the moment, we're sitting with the 3D, he's here, then the 5th. And a lot of souls are now starting to shift, more and more into the 5th. But you've got to remember that in the 5th, you've got octaves of being. In other words, before you get even to the 6th, it's like a spiral. And if every tier of a spiral, you get the sort of resistance, and then you've got to get momentum to go to the next level and the next and the next. And these souls that are holding these energies up are of people there. But as soon as we all move through that barrier of a 5D, like 7D, and more souls are gathering momentum, those ones that are holding the 4th tier, which are already sort of like impacting in their own way, will have now the support base here from this bottom up, and that will shift humanity in a greater degree. Because the Cosmic Masters have declared this has got to happen. The planet is not an entity on her own. She's part of a solar system, and the solar system is part of a Milky Way galaxy. Now, the cosmic hierarchy have actually declared that this whole galaxies within the first master galaxies have got to shift. They've got to move into a higher evolutionary state. We are not divorced from that whole. We are part of the whole cosmos. We cannot say we're separate or alienated from it. If the alienation came when we fell through the whole sort of dimensional state from the 7th to the 5th, and then to the 3rd, and we sunk lower than the animal kingdom there. So what happens is now that we finally find our voice again, that we finally find our expression again, we will find our higher connection again, and we will find our cosmic citizenship, which in truth we are. We are not just here on planet forgotten like orphans. What happened was the veils of amnesia came down, and we couldn't remember anymore. We couldn't get our transmitters open so that we could have a divine connection with the whole energies, fields, and the whole consciousness of a divine. But that's coming back now. And that's the beauty of this time, is that we can open our hearts and souls and beings to be open to receiving this immense blessing that is now happening, and not to resist it. You were talking about resistance, within you that is still holding on to that. I found in the last few years that everything that I resisted was literally broken away from me. And I have learned to surrender at a very deep level. I have learned to surrender my whole life and my whole being and become an instrument of a divine. As long as my ego comes up and says to me, that's not possible, you can't do that, you know, that is not you. I've got to learn to step past my ego and say everything is divinely possible.
Yes.
If I ask for help, it will be there. It will be provided for me. But then I also got to take action steps with what is provided me so that I can anchor in my soul mission firmly into physical reality on planet Earth. Because I'm floating around here, I'm not of great use for anybody. I need to be firmly rooted in Mother Earth. And Mother Earth is so supporting us at the moment. And we need that because massive earth changes are coming in. More volcanoes will relax. It will be earthquakes. It will be everything that we can think of. And it's not something to fear, but rather to understand all needs to come into being so that we can be transformed with Mother Earth as she already is rebirthing, and we need to be rebirthed at the higher level too.
Yes. Yeah, and I want to touch on something because I'm seeing it in my life, and I'm seeing it in other people's lives who I associate with. And what it seems to be is that I don't want to say we're being forced, because we're not, but we're flowing in the present day only. It's like everything out in front of us in the old paradigm where you had to plan for this and you had to put this money away and you had to do this, and it's all going away, and surrendering to that moment where it's like living as an adept where you just wake up every day with nothing, but you have everything. That seems to be something that I'm seeing, and other people are talking about how this universe. And again, as you said, all we have to do is ask, and the universe is providing in incredible, spectacular ways, well beyond any way that we could have figured out for ourselves. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. You know, I'm coming back to you know, where I was standing in Karnak. I had to open up the standing stones there, and it was just amazing because I saw what we were capable of, you know, when we first were here, when we first started life on planet Earth. And the standing stones, for instance, sing. They literally sing with sound vibration. And they are like a huge sort of matrix energy field that sort of vibrates. Now, the ancient ones knew how to use these energy fields and project what they wanted to manifest, which came from their heart and soul. In other words, they wanted to give it for the greater good of humanity. They would literally bring their song, their soul song, you know, that what was singing within them, that was vibrating within them through their third eye into their soul star, which sits here on top just of it. Bring that into a visualization, and then would literally move this whole thing into that field, and it would instantly manifest into form.
Wow. Wow.
We are going that way. And that is why we have to learn that what we are thinking is already manifesting into form. What do we think? What are we projecting out there? I'm giving this series of seminars now about the new children. And what has been told to me time and time again by the galactic councils is that these children communicate telepathically. They are the new master race of men. We are going to the next root race of humanity. These children do not operate like we do. We were the old paragon. We were the old bodies. They are coming in with new bodies. They need help to express themselves. We cannot go on with the old communication systems. We cannot go on with the old authority systems because these children will resist authority at all times. If our hearts and souls do not open up with great love, we cannot guide these children. We cannot bring out their highest soul calling and purpose. They are the genius that are way ahead of us. And we've got to really nurture that genius now and to bring it into being. They are the new master race of humankind. Yet we want to put them in the old 3D boxes that are no longer working for us. We are busy shutting them down instead of helping them to express what they are. And it again comes back to what you're saying in the here and now. What is it that you are projecting out of there? What is it that your thoughts are busy putting out? Your thoughts are energy. If you are thinking angry thoughts or whatever else, that's what you're projecting into the energy field and what you're turning into yourself. You're attracting it into your life. If your heart and soul is filled with love, you will start becoming consciously aware of what you are thinking, what you are feeling. And then always what try to do is get into that state where you realize that everything that you think and what you do, you are radiating forth out into the world. You are already creating that which is within you. And take responsibility for what you are creating within you. You know, if we come from a state of love, we cannot be other than love. And people will feel it. They're not even... You don't even to open your mouth. What you are radiating out will already be there, and they will read at some level that you don't understand. And that's with the new children. They have these vast energy fields, and the energy fields have got sensors on them. So they already read everybody's energy that is in the room.
Wow.
I know I'm the same. I step into the room, I know who's sad, who's angry, whatever else. And it used to really get me down until I understood that I needed to shield myself and not absorb everybody's energies.
Yes.
If we start to understand this at a deep level, and we understand our responsibility to really go deep inside ourselves and think, what are we co-creating? What are we wishing to put out there? And then everything in our lives will change, because now we're taking responsibility for every thought that we think, we're taking responsibility for every deed that we do, every emotion that we have. And if it's steeped with pure intent, we always get blessings coming to us. It's like your show. You are the intent of helping people. That will come back to you. You don't need to do anything else. I'm always told, sow the seeds. Don't worry about what happens to them. That's a divine that will nurture the seeds if they have to grow into tall trees or whatever else. You are just there to plant the seeds. And that is where surrendering against comes in. We surrender whatever we sow into higher hands so that it becomes that beautiful blossoming forth within that person. And if we do it with great love, we are nurturing the seeds of love already in that person. Because so many people are starved for love. They cannot even love themselves. You cannot love yourself to the deepest degree. You cannot love another human being. It's impossible. That is why relationships fail. It's because we cannot even love ourselves to the greatest degree. And we always are there with a judgmental type of us that says, you must do this and that, and then I love you. That is not love.
Yes.
We've got to come to the stage where I say, I love you just the way you are. It's like I love myself to the way I love you. I don't always understand you. I don't always understand where you come from. But I will be there for you in love and with love. And that is true love. True love goes through the ups and the downs and all of life. And it will become greater. You know, the more your heart opens, the more your sexuality opens up. And then you can meet each other at a very higher degree than you could ever meet before, because now you come at the vibration of love and the energy of love, and you create more love, and that radiates out into the world. That's one of the highest service works that you can do.
Wow.
Now I get tears of inspiration.
I'm getting tears. Here we go again. I had two people. They asked me to ask you a question, and they're related, so I'm just going to combine them. But and there's a lot of confusion on this subject, and I can't think of anyone better in the world to answer this question. But the question was, what is the difference between twin flame, twin ray, and I guess divine conscious union or divine conscious partners? Because there's been a lot of confusion on that, and I don't normally take questions and ask them, but I thought they were good questions, and they came from pretty credible people. Could you reflect on that?
Well, I must say that there is so much confusion is because we're looking for the ultimate in love. And I'm realizing that that is something that is like, it speaks to people's hearts and souls at a very deep level because of a deep remembrance that they have within themselves as a soul level of the ideal, of the ideal within the masculine and feminine divine, because they know that that is possible. At the deepest level of their souls, they remember that because we all come from that state of unity and that state of oneness and the state where we knew what the ultimate is. Okay. But what I find in my twin flame soul readings, because I do a lot of twin flame soul readings, where people think they've met their ultimate, in whatever else, when it's actually not that. It might be that this soul that they met here has been a partner in a different lifetime, a lover or a partner or whatever else. And now you must remember that in every lifetime where you have not, because you must remember that there were lifetimes when you were severely challenged. There were lifetimes when you were forced into marriages, and there are lifetimes when you were just lovers because you were married off to somebody else. You are contracted to meet in this lifetime those people that you have negative karma to clear with. And a lot of the souls are from soul groups now that are in their last incarnation on earth. They will be challenged severely to work through those negative karmic patterns. That means that they will recognize the soul, and there will be like a sort of a sense of ownership. Like you belong to me, but the belonging is actually a marriage certificate or a vow or an oath that they took in a previous lifetime. I always make a point in my goddess course to go to the minute where they signed that marriage contract, or they made an oath or an agreement or a pact or whatever there, because it needs to be released. Otherwise, the angels that were there witnessing you making that oath or that contract or so on will keep you to it because you haven't dissolved it. Yes. And whatever you create in negative patterns will come back and will come back and will come back. And you would take it from one relationship to the other, to the other, to the other. So if you haven't resolved that within you and deep forgiveness has not come to the wound, you will hang on to that at some level. And it will be there in your soul as a lesson in mastery. That's why we have so many problems in relationship, is because often we don't want to acknowledge the wound. We don't want to go deep inside ourselves and say, okay, that wound was created, and now I've got to uncreate it with love. I've got to find that deep forgiveness within myself so that I can love at a higher level. It is a journey in itself. Now, if you think of your soul as having 12 flames. In other words, your soul is like a round ball, but within that ball there are 12 flames. And there's 6 masculine and 6 feminine, so they're always balanced. Whether they're androgynous souls, because a lot of androgynous souls have incarnated, that is Lemuria and Mu. And then there's the other ones that are naturally created as male and female. The divine created both, okay? The divine created androgynous souls that are within themselves both, and then he created those ones, she created those ones that were both. All right. It's an expression of life. Because the divine, in my soul readings, I put the soul name there. The soul name will give you your mission and purpose. That is why the divine created you. Your divine created you to serve the divine so that you can experience life through all lifetimes and parallel lives and universes, so that you reflect that back to the divine. So the divine experience all his creation through the souls he created. That's a very important concept to understand. Now, if somebody comes from the same soul as you, they will have the same mission and purpose. They will be more or less on the same path as you are, if they are still true to themselves. Most often, we will recognize that soul the minute that we meet them. And it's not, people always think that if you meet your twin flame, it's all hunky-dory and it's all like roses and moonshine. That is an illusion. That is an illusion. You know, when I was librarian, people used to devour the romance books, you know, those Mills and Boons or whatever else. And it's so interesting because a counselor once came to me and he said to me, you know, that is one of the greatest breakups of marriages as a romance novels, because they give a false concept of the ideal. Because at some way you will always compare your partner to what your ideal is in this romancing, you know, like the knight in shining armor, you know, does everything else. Now, your twin flame, because they are part of that same soul, will reflect everything in you that you have not loved about yourself. Because after all, they know you better than you know yourself. You are the same soul. Okay. When you finally get to the stage where you have forgiven everything that happened in every lifetime, in every existence, I know what I'm speaking about because that's my journey for the last 8 years of my life, 10 years of my life. I had to go back for every lifetime and every remembrance of being together and all that happened in between. And I had to go back to forgiveness of every single moment of that and dissolve that pattern. But I first had to learn to love myself to the degree that I could forgive and also let go. And something amazing happens. You start to appreciate yourself and you start to appreciate love as it comes. And when that deep appreciation created them, not as you project yourself onto them, because so often we want to change the other to suit ourselves.
Yes.
Now, I want you to be this. I want you to look like that. I want you to be that. I want you. That is projections. That is what we want to project onto them. The minute that you start understanding to the highest degree that you cannot change that person, you cannot change one iota about them, not one hair on their body. You can only love them the way that God loves them and that God created them. And God does not create imperfections. God only creates perfection. And the divine always sees us in the perfection, not in the imperfection. You can come to that stage where you can actually open your heart and soul to the degree where you only see that perfection, where you only love that perfection. Something amazing happens.
Wow.
In that moment of union, you are so united in all forms, energetic and whatever else that is, that you become as one. That is when you find true love, because then there's no impediments. There's nothing more that is blocking and hindering here. You are one in the divine. You are that flame. You are that soul merging. People that understand that this is an energetic merging, in other words, a soul merging with soul. Soul is energy. It's more than a physical. It's more than a physical union. It has to do with the energy that is divinely there. And it brings out the Kundalini energy, which is that energy which is inside ourselves. And that even then becomes ignited. So it's like energy and energy and energy merging, and you become in the energy of love. When you are in that moment of merging, you can both start crying. Because the heart is open. The whole body is open. All the energy fields are open. You become like a vessel that you just fill each other, and then the flame brings it, and that is the most profound union. That is when you start actually becoming wordless. You have no expression of it. You go into a state where you become so at one, so in union with the cosmos, with the divine, that you finally understand what omnipotent is about,
Wow.
what all being is about. That is why it's always been considered as a pathway. Experience the divine. And then you've got to remember that is now the twin flame. A lot of them are also like your soulmates. They come from the same soul group. There it will be an instant recognition again. It's like you meet a kindred soul. The Irish have got a name for it. It's the Anamkara. Your Anamkara will walk with you through the valleys of death and the valleys of life. They will be with you. They will always be your companion. They will be your friend. They will be that deep soul connection that you can't always express.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Yes. Wow. Somebody just asked that question. You just answered it.
Excuse me.
That's okay. Take your time. Get some more.
So, yeah.
Yeah, somebody had asked.
Also,
go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just commenting. Somebody had asked, what about soulmates? And you just answered it. I feel the vibration.
Thing is that what people don't understand, and I think this is that we need to understand at a deeper level. See this life as a journey. On this journey called life, all the souls that you're contracted to meet, you will meet. Whether they're your twin flame or your soulmate, or whether it's those that push every jolly button, but they took on that role. You're like actors on a stage. They took on the role to challenge you so that you can actually learn your soul lessons, that you can learn your lessons in mastery to love. Yes. To love everyone. It doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter what they do to you, to love. It is very hard to love somebody when they're challenging you, because they jolly well push every button that you had. But if we go deeply into ourselves and we say, what is the soul teaching us? Why am I allowing that soul to push my buttons? You will find that you come to a stage where you actually start opening the heart to the degree that you start seeing that soul as it is. And you can see that soul has also been hurt, has also sometimes just lashed out in pain because it didn't love itself to such a degree. The minute we start opening the heart, something within us shifts. And we get to the stage where we say, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for challenging me. Thank you for teaching me how to love unconditionally. I'm sorry I judged you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. There are so many degrees of love. There are so many degrees of loving. So why don't we just welcome each soul as it comes into our lives? And we welcome the lesson they bring. Whether they are twin flame or soulmate, it does not matter. If you truly love somebody, you will always be pulled together. It doesn't matter what happens in life. You will always come back together. And the thing is, you can never be separated from each other. If somebody lives across the world, they're still there at soul level communicating with you, because souls always communicate with each other on a much higher level. They don't need bodies to do that. Yeah. They don't need a body to do that. You can energetically, are you always in communication with the souls that you love? The souls of your own soul and your soul group, you are always in communication with. You must remember that a lot of your soul parts are actually living and working in other galaxies and star systems. When my awakening came, I was taken right back to Andromeda and my life there. I met who I were, children there. I met my husband there that's in Andromeda, so I knew exactly who I was. And that opened me up to that I actually, as soul, have got multiple existences. I'm not just this that is here embodied in this lifetime. I'm all of that that is there out in the universe that is busy functioning. The more enlightened you become, the more conscious you become, the more cosmic you become. You are not so hung up about life on this planet anymore. You are not so hung up about appearances. You are not so hung up about the material existence anymore, because you realize that actually I'm everything. I am the whole omniverse, and the whole omniverse is me. There is no separation. And the thing is that if you love somebody, that love is always there. Because, say for instance, with your twin flame, the moment you were born by the divine, you actually become as a soul, a spark, as a flame. You loved each other. You will always love each other. Even if you go out of this life and in another existence, you love each other. And that love is continuing ad infinitum. But when we are here on this planet, we buy into the illusions. We think that love, it can be separated. We think that love can die. We think that love, we can kill love if we want to. I don't love you anymore. I don't love you anymore. Go away, go away. I don't want to see you. I don't want to be with you. But you cannot kill love. It's impossible.
Wow.
Wow, impossible.
That was a powerful little sermon. that was real. That was very real. You thank you. You talked earlier about the importance of expression, and you talked about bringing that in and into the heart. How important is it for us to be expressing ourselves, and how do we do that?
If you really love what you're doing and you do what you love, you cannot be others than express it. In German, they've got a lovely saying is, what the heart is full of, the mouth will bubble over. When you're in love, you just want to talk about your beloved the whole time, because you're so inspired by love that's in there. You're just talking about it all the time. The same with if you're really inspired by this call yourself, it cannot be other than do it, other than express it. But we're brought up in a society that tells you that you've got to have a job, you've got to be employed, you've got to do this, you've got to have a big house, you've got to have a car, you've got to have this, you've got to have status, you've got to look like this, you've got to be like that. And we buy into that illusion. Who tells us to be like that?
Yes.
Who tells us to be like that? Who tells us that we need to look like that? A lot of women make themselves terribly miserable because they're always comparing themselves to an ideal that is actually an ideal.
Yes.
We make ourselves miserable because we're constantly comparing ourselves with others, and we are thinking we are in competition with others. We are not in competition with anybody. We don't need to compare ourselves to anybody because we are unique and special, and that is how the divine created us. And now every single soul is actually created with unique gifts and talents. That is your purpose. That is why you were created. But so many live something that their family projected on them, that their teachers projected on them, and they never question that. So they're miserable in the jobs that they are, and they just like in the jobs from 4 to 5 to earn money. And then they wonder why they're miserable. If your heart and soul is not in what you're doing, you are guaranteed to have a nervous breakdown somewhere along the line. Because you are not living life congruent to what is really inside you.
Yes.
If you really love what you're doing and you're doing what you love, you won't have any time factor. You will just do it because you can't stop doing it, and you do it with such love that you cannot stop doing it. It's just there. Like nobody's got to tell me to write. I love writing, and I love expressing what's there in my heart and soul. It flows through me. It's there because I'm inspired. I love doing that. It's a way that I express myself. But if I don't do that, then something in me dies. And I die a slow death, and I become miserable, and I become depressed. That is why it's so important to always look back. What really do you want to do in life? What is it that you really always wanted to do? And you know, I've often asked people that, and they have tears of certainly coming to their eyes and said, you know, I always wanted to do that. But, and then the but comes in.
Yes.
It's stopping you from doing that. It's stopping you. Yes, you have to take leaps of faith. But Todd, if you didn't take leaps of faith, would you have gotten anywhere else in your life?
No. No. It's a very good point.
Wouldn't you? And the thing is, yes, it's scary. But the thing is, you are always looked after. You know, I have found all these years that I actually had to go on my own and go and find what and do what I love and love what I'm doing. I often didn't know where I would find a roof over my head, and I didn't know where everything would provide it for. But I always had a roof over my head. I've always had food on my table, and I've always some people that actually took me in and helped me. So I've learned through all of that. For all of that, and having to literally put my life together again from nothing, that I, in truth, if I ask, it shall be given. But yes. I must have a faith that it's going to be given.
Yes.
And there are precious moments when I so experienced the divine, and I experienced divinity, and my whole seeing, my inner seeing and my being opened up, and I could just be filled by the divine. Those moments are so precious that no money in the world can actually buy that. Those moments are what carries you through life. So it doesn't matter what life throws at you after that, you know you'll be okay because you've been through that. And we forget that those are the things that give meaning and purpose to our lives. If we don't have meaning in our lives and we are not purposefully there, we will get depressed because we feel that nobody loves us and nobody wants us and life is such a schlep. The minute that you actually go back into your heart and soul, you live that, you will find that opportunities are everywhere. And there's always somebody who can use what you have to give and be grateful that you are putting it out there. So don't ever underestimate your own ability to make a difference in life. Oh boy, if you can make music, go and make music. If you can sing, go and sing. If you want to go and play, go play. If you want to write, go write. If you are called to be a chef, go and be a chef and make the best food on the planet. If you are called to go and inspire people, then jolly well go and inspire them. You know, when I was down and out and I was really starting like you know, I just had the internet connection. I would sometimes just don't know how to get up in the mornings and get my life in back. And I decided, well, okay, if I have to get up this morning, I will go and inspire people. I will go and write that what is deep in my heart and soul, and I will give that out into the world. And you know what? When I did that, it came back to me. People said, thank you. You are writing exactly what I needed to hear today. Then I feel better about myself. And then I knew, okay, I was doing what I love and I was loving what I do. And I was touching the core hearts and souls of those that I encountered. And that blessing was coming back to me. That is service. That is living your soul purpose and calling. And you know what? To me, what is the greatest of all is now when I get feedback, from all over the world, as my vision came true when I was called to do this work. People say, thank you. Thank you. You have changed my life. And then I'd say, thank you, Divine, that you are using me. And in my prayer every morning, and I tell you what, I never go every morning without doing this. I say, please, use me in the highest possible service, in the highest possible way. Because as long as we serve, we will serve from the heart and soul. And as long as we're willing to serve, God will use us in amazing ways. And I can just encourage you. And you must never think that you don't make a difference to the lives of others. You might just speak that word that soul needs. You might just give that flower to somebody whose life you changed by just giving one single flower. You might just be the one that picks up the one that doesn't know where to go anymore. And because of your kindness, you change that person's life. You might just go out into the street, and there's somebody who needs you there in that exact moment to change their lives. Don't ever underestimate your own power to make a difference to this world. And if you are called to be a mother, then be the best mother that you can. If you are called to be a father, then be the best father that you can. If you are called to be a teacher, be the best teacher that you can. But do it from the heart and soul. If you are called to be a corporate manager, then be the best corporate manager there is, and with a heart and soul open to serve. We're not all meant to be presidents. Thank goodness. I would like to be a president, thank you. But we're all called to be the best that we can be, with the given talents that we are. And there's something amazing and miracles if you call them in. You can call in the angels and archangels and say, please, help me, guide me. Take me to the people that need me today so that I can touch their lives. And miracles will happen. You don't always know how they will happen. That's not your business. Yeah. Be ready and open, and then miracles will happen.
Yes. Whew. That's a powerful transmission. So, thank you so much. I know everybody's feeling the same way I'm feeling. That part about, we've built this matrix. We're part of it, and now we're making this transition, and this magic is showing itself to us. And I know from my own place and other people I'm talking to, it's almost like, do we turn our back on these? I don't think it's literal. Do we turn our backs on these laws and these rules and these regulations and all that stuff that we know is not universally correct, I guess, aligned? Is it as simple as holding the space of what you love and holding that image and taking, like you said, actions toward it to materialize this heaven on earth from our own individual universes and then onto the collective?
Yes. It's very important, because you must remember what is within you creates without you. That's a divine law. As within, so without. As above, so below. That is why it's so important to have a vision for your life. You know, vision, what I do is I write them down. You know, so I'm given visions, I go write them down. Or if I'm given inspiration, I go and write them down. I always have my journal next to my bed. So if sometimes you wake up in the night and you've got this brilliant, you know, answer or idea coming to you, if you don't write it down, you're going to forget it.
Yeah.
Now, the importance of this is because you've got to sort of record it at some level, and there's magic that comes out in some level that you record it. I have found the minute that I record it, ideas start happening in my head about how I can bring this into being, you know, at some stage, or whatever. And I will always be reminded about that by my higher guides. They will say to me, listen, you've got to get going on this. You know, don't just let it lie there. You know, yes. Start getting action step into motion. And because we've got to keep the vision inside ourselves. Because we are all, as I said, we are all called to do specific work here. And in the end, we all come back. You know, it's so amazing because I'm coming back to Mary Magdalene. When I was in France, I was doing my work, what I was called to do. And a lot of them was energy work and releasing the old trauma and the pain and whatever else of humanity there. And because it's steeped in trauma, Europe is steeped in trauma of all the wars and whatever else that was there. And it's massive. It needs to be released there. But what happens in that, in that whole matrix energy field, and as you're talking about it, I am finding that more and more souls that need to connect with me because of all those lifetimes and the work that we did. You must remember, a lot of us are souls that have been doing this for many, 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 many lifetimes. You so remind me, Todd, of a Templar that I had to release in France, but never mind, that's another story. I think you've got a Templar connection there. I must come and give them to. And by the way, the Templars were not just a military band. Some of them were highly enlightened and they were on the same level as the Cathars. They were actually related. And the same as Mary Magdalene, the storyline goes through that. But in any case, what this is about, that these souls are finding me. I don't need to do anything. I'm just doing my work. But the souls are finding me. And to me, when I look at that, sometimes I just get these tears of inspiration that I know I'm living my vision. I'm busy putting it into place. And all these souls are attracted like within the matrix field to find me because we work together at some stage. To me, that's a miracle because it means I don't need to do anything but focus on what I want to put out into the world. The rest will come into the whole matrix field and work together without me doing anything. They are busy coming there. That shows me that divine guidance is at work here. And that is exactly what yesterday I was teaching and I was doing a meditation. It's the first time that this happened in meditation. The cosmic councils came right through me and they gave a message to my students. And the message was that each has to go and do the work and not worry about it because they're orchestrating all of this happening. You see, we're not left here as orphans. But we need to keep our discipline and focus on the vision of what we need to put in there. We don't need to worry about what happens at everything. We don't need to know about all the systems and so on. You know, a lot of people have got this thing about this whole conspiracy thing and whatever else. Let it go. It's not your problem to do whatever they do. It's not your problem to solve that. Your problem is to do, that's your main focus should be on what you are putting out into the world. Yes. Not what they do. You know, people are suffering if they're so worried about what they think, what they do, whatever else. If you focus on mission, you haven't got much problems with what the rest do. You are right there doing what you need to do, and you're focused on that, and you're disciplined in that, and you don't because you can do and be anything other than that. I have actually come to many times in my life where I was in absolute tears, but they were not tears of pain. They were just tears of inspiration and the deep knowing that that is why I am on planet Earth. And as long as I'm on planet Earth and I'm breathing and I'm living, that is what I will do. I cannot do anything else. You know, I'm so often reminded of when Martin Luther, I come from a Lutheran background, but in any case, Martin Luther, when he put the whole Reformation in and he was shaking up the whole systems or whatever else, he was brought before the Council of Worms and the Emperor, and he stood there and he said, "Here I stand. I can do no other, so help me God."
Wow.
And that has always spoken to the depths of my heart and being, because to me that is, if you're really truly called, you cannot do anything and be anything else than what you are called to do. And just this last few weeks, calling that I've had when I first started, when I was first my awakening in 2004 and 8, that vision has been returned to me. But it's now even a greater vision. And you know, when you get visions of what you are called to do and what you are called to implement onto the planet, it sometimes can be so gigantic that you say, "What, me?" You can't me. I'm quite sure you mean somebody else, you know. But I write it down. And then I say to them, okay, if you want me to implement that mission into this planet, you've got to give me help. I can't do this on my own. You've got to show me what I need to do. You've got to guide me. You've got to bring the people into my life that will help me to bring this into the fore. I am right. I'm ready. I'm here. Now you help me. And then you see miracles happen. That is when the matrix will start working on its own for you, not against you. It will work for you, because now we are moving in higher vibratory energy fields. So it's faster. You see, it's faster. The communication systems are now so fast that if you think something, it's already going out there and it's manifesting into form.
Yes.
So we will find that the higher frequency bands become, the less dependent we become on the physical form, because now we are operating at a much higher level.
Man.
And that is why we will lift the whole energy matrix field into that vibration there. A lot of souls won't be able to hold form, because vibration will disintegrate whatever cannot hold that form. So do we need to do anything? No. We don't need to do anything about what is laws and whatever was ever thing. If we lift our own vibration to that, we lift the whole of humanity into that, the rest will not be able to function anymore.
Very good.
I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I feel like I'm doing a session with you. It's like it was last time. It's perfect timing. I'm just not crying as much as I was last time. But it means a lot to me to hear these words from you, and I know other people feel the same way, because we so overcomplicate things, and it's really as simple as loving ourselves and loving what we do. And I just want to say thank you for your direction and your wisdom and your love. It's so obvious. I don't know what else to say. I'm going to be wordless and start crying. And that's love, and I'm okay with that. But you've taught me a lot today at the right time. And I think you probably have taught a lot of people today, and people that will watch the replay as well. So I just want to thank you again, and I'd love to collaborate with you. I hope one day I can put my arms around you and thank you with a big hug. I was actually hugging around the laptop the whole time, trying to hold the energy. The signal was struggling, but it went well. Thank you so much, Judith. I wish you the best always. If there's anything I can do for you, if you need to get the word out on anything that you're doing, we have a good network, and we're at your service always.
Thank you so much, Todd. I must say, we all need to cooperate now. That was one of the messages, because we need to lift humanity through a tremendous change. So many people will be totally lost and at sea because they're not awake and they're not aware and whatever else, and they will think that the whole world is busy going down when in truth it's being reborn. And
True.
I just want to thank you from my heart and soul and all my being. I know that you're going through immense challenges yourself. It's not easy. I've been there, and it doesn't stop. When you get other challenges coming your way. But all I want you to know is to hold the faith and to keep the heart and soul open and to always surrender and say, here I am. Please use me in the highest possible service, in the highest possible way. And you will be blessed, the show will be blessed, and everybody who's here tonight will be, well, it's tonight here, but stay with you, but will be blessed in ways that they cannot even think about. And I just want to say thank you for everyone that does whatever they feel in their deepest heart and soul they're called to do. Because you know what? You must never underestimate what one single soul can do to bring the beauty and the vibration up in this rest. And I've always remembered of what Mother Teresa said. She was once asked, she said, how can you help all these thousands of people? She says, I cannot help 2,000 people at one time. I can only help one soul at a time. And one soul at a time becomes 2,000. And each one of us has the ability to do that. And I just want to ask you all to look deeply in your heart and soul and say, how can I, in my own way, make a difference in the life of anyone that I meet today, in whatever way? And maybe, just a miracle will happen to you. And you'll say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And may the deepest blessing comes into your core hearts and soul. And may your hearts and soul be opened up to the highest level that you can. And may you realize the God-given gift that you've been given to be alive on the planet Earth at this time. We are all here because we were called to be here, and we all said yes. Yes, it's the brave souls that are here, not the shrinking violets. You are not a shrinking violet. You are a brave soul. And you have so much love and so much to give to the planet. Please do it from all that you are. And may you be blessed to the core of your heart and soul and being. Thank you for being here. And thank you for being brave enough. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope to see you again in the future. All blessings to you, Goddess. Thank you so much. Let me know if you need anything, if I can help you in any way. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Have a good evening.